Adjudicators, may we start this session?
Yep, you may start the debate.
All right. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the grand final round of OIM FTUI 2022 debate competition. My name is Muhammad Ihsan Pasha, and I'll be your moderator for tonight. And my partner, Amalia Husna Mohtar, will be the timekeeper for tonight. For this round, the motion that we're going to debate is, this House believes that STEM majors should exclusively focus their lectures on practicalities as opposed to theoretical based. So from the government team, we have a team from Department Teknik Kimia with Nicholas Husi, I'm sorry if I spelled your name wrong, as the first speaker, Azari Siregar as the second speaker, Janeta Hans as the third speaker, and for the reply speaker, we have Mr. Husi. From the opposition team, we have a team from Program International with Steven as the first speaker, Bianca Martawadaya as the second speaker, Raka as the third speaker, and we have Bianca as the reply speaker herself. And as per usual, I'm sorry, I will send the speaker list first. Speaker list is in the chat. Yes, so, and as per usual, I will remind everyone about the rules for tonight's debate. The rules are, first, each substantive speakers will only deliver their speech for 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Each reply speaker will deliver the speech for only 4 minutes and 20 seconds. The chairman will ask the speakers what form of POIs are going to be used in the round, either via Zoom chat or Zoom raise hand. So I'll ask the government team, the team from DTK, what form of POIs are going to be used.
LO and Ju, if I may, I think we should decide the form of POI ourselves, I think, before the speech. Is it okay, Eju and LO?
Mr. Rajidan, what do you think of? I'm sorry, government team, can you please elaborate more what are you talking about?
So before speech, we individually we will say what kind of POI we prefer. I think different individuals have different kind of preferred POI way. So I think before the speech, I think we can state whether we want to POI through chat or maybe through on mic like that.
I'm sorry, but I think the time for that has been used in the 15 minutes case building session. So we're not going to waste any time. You may please choose between either via Zoom chat or Zoom raise hand.
Okay, chat then.
Yeah, I will take notes that.
I think it's let them be like, the POI method for each speaker. So before you start your speech, just tell us your POI preference and also your preferred gender pronouns. Just use the one LO.
I'm sorry, adjudicators, can you please reply? Can you please say that again?
No. So before each speaker speak, they will have to tell us their POI preference, whether it's via chat, raise hand, or whatever they want, and then their preferred gender pronouns, he, him, or they, or whatever it is.
Okay, I see.
All right.
So, I will take notes that before each speaker speaks, they may state what form of POIs are going to be used and what form of POIs going to be used before their speech. And you are right, government team, we'll just continue to the rules. For the opposition team, you take what we said, right? Opposition team?
Each of the speakers are going to have their own POI preferences and pronouncements.
Before the speech, yes.
Right,
I will continue the rules. The fourth rules are, on substantive speaker, we will send a chat via Zoom once on the first minute, indicating that the POIs are allowed. On the 6th minute, indicating that the POI is no longer allowed. On the 7th minute, and multiple times in the 7 minutes and 20 seconds to indicate that the speakers must end their speech. The fifth rules are, on the reply speech, we will send a chat via Zoom once on the 1st minute, on the 3rd minute, on the 4th minute, and multiple times on the 4th minute and 20 seconds to indicate that the speakers must end their speech. If there are any called POIs, the current speaking team must answer it first, whether it be yes or no. Then they may then they may continue with their speech. 7, the moderator will be the one to start the countdown before the current speaker start their speech. And last but not least, no POIs are going to be allowed in the reply session. So before we continue, I would like to make sure that the connections from both of the teams are doing okay. So each team may turn on the camera and make sure that the microphones are functioning as well. I'll ask the government team first.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Second speaker, you may check your mic. The second speaker from the government team, may you check your mic, please? I will ask one more time, Mr. Al-Azhar Siregar, second speaker from the government team, may you please check your mic?
Present.
Yes, you are. And the third speaker from the government team?
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. So from the opposition team, you may please check your mic from the first speaker. Mr. Steven, may you please check your mic?
Yes. Oh,
Yes, you're audible. Yes, you're audible. Second speaker.
Hi.
And the third speaker.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. And without further ado, let's start the debate session. So I call upon the first speaker from the government team, Mr. Hussey. You may start your speech in 3, 2,
Sorry, can I count down by myself?
if the adjudicators are okay with that.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Eju. And now all. Okay, I will start my speech in 3, 2. Sorry. Before that, my preferred POI are turned on the mic and gender pronouncers he, him. Okay. I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable educators, standing here as the first speaker who debate under the motion, this House believes that STEM majors should exclusively focus the lecture on practicalities as opposed to theoretical base. Now, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, that's what are STEMs for, ladies and gentlemen. In this motion, the government side of the House believes that we should more heavily focus on, exclusively focus on the lectures on the practicalities, ladies and gentlemen. We won't talk about this theoretical base, ladies and we are heavily prioritized, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't mean we are neglecting this theoretical base, ladies and gentlemen. We feel we from the government side of the House, we feel that the theoretical base is also needed for this time major, ladies and gentlemen, but it is not as crucial as practicalities that needs to be taught on this the STEM major students, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we believe that in this COVID-19 pandemic, ladies and gentlemen, we see that we are lost in this kind of situation, even though we see that this government has our government has done their job pretty well, where the cases are keep decreasing. But we believe that we are still nowhere near in doing the lectures offline, ladies and gentlemen. Why I say this kind of pandemic situation, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that as a STEM major student, we need a certain type of skill that would be helpful enough for us to go through our university's competencies to make us graduate from our universities, and for our post-university work, ladies and gentlemen, the skill needed for us to apply in companies and so on. We think that our practicality skills, such as doing labs, software stuff, and etc., is more important than us just understanding the lecture through theory. from the lecturer, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we as the government side of the house need to provide practicalities in STEM major student is more crucial than theoretical stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Now, clarification for this debate. In this debate, we will talk about on how will these practicalities would be implemented to the STEM major, but instead we only need to talk about which is more important, either these practicalities or the theoretical base, ladies and gentlemen. And also, we are not neglecting this theoretical base because we, as the government of the house, we feel that theoretical base is important, but we have more important lectures that need to be done, which is the practicalities as for the STEM major students, rather than only theory based, ladies and gentlemen. Now, going through my argument, I would first talk about why fundamentally our practical skills are needed in the first place, ladies and gentlemen. Now, to define that, practical skills means that we practice into something. We practice our theory that we have get from our lecturer to practice it in the real life, ladies and gentlemen, either that through software or through lab, how we operate those kind of machine in our STEM major, how we count, how we engineer, how we make a product and such. That is what we meant by the practical skills that we are going to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. Now, basically, we believe that the theory that are made in our STEM major books are based on a series of experiments done by a certain scientist, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's take an example of the Newton's law, ladies and gentlemen. We believe that the Newton's law is caused because an apple, let's say an apple, fall on Newton's head, ladies and gentlemen. That's why he created everything such as calculus, Newton's law, 1, 2, 3, and so on, ladies and gentlemen. We believe that experiment is done on this, ladies and gentlemen. That's why he can make a theory throughout this, ladies and gentlemen. And many scientists also, we believe that coming out from they observe a certain type of phenomena. That's why they can make a theory about it. This proves that, we believe that this proves how experiment can really help a human understand to a better way, ladies and gentlemen. They observe a certain type of phenomenon and they try to explain it, ladies and gentlemen. This is why we say practical skills are needed, ladies and gentlemen. In order to understand the theory, we believe that you need to at least imagine what really happened on this theory that is being given to you, ladies and gentlemen. But if you didn't see what really happened, then how can you understand the lecture well, ladies and gentlemen? You can't even imagine what really happened on that point of time, ladies and gentlemen. In the end, you will need this kind of practicum to teach you, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we have practicum. That's why you have practicum lectures, ladies and gentlemen, to teach you what really happened, to give us competencies on our practical skills on how to operate many kinds of machines and lab things, ladies and gentlemen. Like example, like the AC basic test, like let's say the paper will turn blue if they are based or something like that, ladies and gentlemen. We believe that is important. Now, second, I will be talking about university. Nowadays, the lectures in university is doing this kind of PBL, which problem-based learning. I think you are familiar with that, ladies and gentlemen. This process, this is the process where lecturers give the students a certain type of topic, and they are letting themselves to find their own bahan belajar, ladies and gentlemen. Which proves that this theory can be get from anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We have this internet, we have this library and such thing. We have many source of website that provide us this kind of theory thing, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we see that this theory is not any more relevant near anywhere, either on the lecturer side, or on the student side, ladies and gentlemen, because basically the lecturers have given the student the power to search the theory itself, ladies and gentlemen. And sometimes when we present our work, ladies and gentlemen, the lecturers also encourage us, you should give some applicable examples, ladies and gentlemen. That this proves that the lecturer also want our lectures to be more applicable towards in real life things, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said before, practical skills are needed, ladies and gentlemen. That's why it is we need to know how this thing works, which is through our practical skills that we have get, ladies and gentlemen, in the first place, either in university or even in high school, ladies and gentlemen. Now, that is why we see that these practical skills are really needed, ladies and gentlemen. And third, I will be talking about the post-university, ladies and gentlemen, such as work, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's say we believe that this certain type of university have a lot of competencies, which is they are prioritizing more on practical skills, and which sometimes in the job applicants they stated that we need someone who can master in software such as IC, MATLAB, Excel, or Unisim and such, because it proves that in the post-university condition later, ladies and gentlemen, we need to applicate what the theory have teaches us in the first place, ladies and gentlemen. And this is also proves why we are not neglecting this theoretical base. We are only more we are more focused on this practical base, ladies and gentlemen. That is why we believe that practical skills are needed, ladies and gentlemen. Now, for this STEM majors itself, ladies and gentlemen, it requires company to be a specific role in this, a special competencies that they need to advance on this skill, ladies and gentlemen. Like in oil and gas industry, they need advanced skill in UniSim, HISIS. They need to simulate what really happened on the field, ladies and gentlemen. Compared to the other like economics, ladies and gentlemen, and marketing, they didn't have. We believe that they didn't have this specific practical that is needed from the company, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we believe that STEM majors is crucially needed these practical skills, ladies and gentlemen. That is all. Thank you.
But I'll take notes that the first speaker from the government team spent 7 minutes and 40 seconds. I call upon the first speaker from the opposition team, Mr. Steven. You may start your speech at your own.
This is my audio.
Yes, you're
working?
audible.
Okay. Yes, we can just start. You can count me down.
So, but you can count on your own.
Oh,
Should
okay.
I count down myself?
You can count me down.
You may start your speech in 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, panelists, juries, my colleagues, and opponents. Ladies and gentlemen, the government side thinks the way for student success is to focus only on their practical lectures of STM. STEM majors learn about science, math, and etc. to apply it to the world. How does it apply to the world? So STEM majors usually learn about existing theories they also learn some lab works. They also may have internship program, summer programs, etc., so that they can use their skills on their day-to-day life. First, I want to bring up that the quality of both lectures, either theory lectures or practical lectures, are not up for debate because it is too specific to a specific lecture. Discussing about the qualities of different lectures will open a whole new can of worms. So with that out of the way, I would like to start my arguments of the speech. In this speech, I will be talking about two things. That first is the need of a higher understanding, and second is about schools and universities are the ones who's supposed to teach students about these STEM theories. So first, our side of the house proposed that we need the theoretical understanding to proceed and learn more about STEM for our careers and education. There are infinite problems that we will face as a STEM major. As a STEM major student, we all need a higher level of thinking, a higher level of understanding on the theories. Students first need to learn about what they are about to do before they can start their practical studies. STEM will always advance in the time. But we must also know that the ones who advances STEM knowledge, STEM, are the people who learn about STEM theories, and who also must understand about those theories. A good example of this in real life is the quantum atom theory, where the quantum atomic theory is a theory about what is an atom, but we must acknowledge that this theory is not possible without the Chadwick atomic theory, and that theory is not possible without the theory before that theory, like the Bohr theory, Rutherford theory, Thomson, and also Dalton. Second, I'll be talking about the schools and universities are the ones who are supposed to teach students about the STEM theories. Schools are the only few institutes that will give people a theoretical lecture compared to real world and the career world. They can only give us practical stuff. The career world and real world, they won't usually give us any more type of theoretical subjects. No, I no POI, thank you. Unless we look it up. Okay, sorry. In the real world, the only other way we can get a theoretical understanding is by searching or studying ourselves, but that is usually ineffective and unproductive compared to a theoretical lecture given by an institute or college or a lecturer. A good example in real life is a man could learn their STEM theory. They can learn about many practical things after they receive a job and by their day-to-day life, but they may only find the theories, and they may find difficult to learn a new theoretical knowledge without a help of a lecturer. I would now like to give a few rebuttals about the first governor speaker. They say about experiments help human understand, but what you're not considering is that by focusing on practicals, is that by repeating and proving all of our current understanding, we won't be learning off from that, but only relearning what already happened there in the past. And also another rebuttal I want to make is that the governor said about PBL or problem-based learning. Problem-based learning theory can be get from anywhere, they say. That's misunderstanding. That is not the misunderstanding that problem-based learning, that is not technically a practical. This problem-based learning is more of a theoretical case study. In these case studies, we can learn about theories, but not practical. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give a last statement line that before we can do something, we must first have to know how to do it. So, thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening.
All right, I'll take notes that the first speaker from the opposition team spent 6 minutes and 47 seconds. And before we continue further, I'm just reminding that to all of the contingents that before you start your speech, you may please state your form of POIs so that the other contingents is not confused. So let's continue. I call upon the second speaker from the government team, Mr. Azhar. You may start your speech at your own pace. Mr. Azhar, I'm calling you. Are you there?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Honorable adjudicator, the opposition side of the House seemed to didn't understand about this motion at all. This motion, as my first speaker said, that this is a debate about whether we should more focus on practical or theory about theory on the lecture class. On the lecture class, would it be more beneficial and would it be feasible in this day and in this day on age? My first look, and I would like to rebuttal the statement from the opposition side of the House. The statement they bring is that the first one is higher level understanding and theory before they need to learn. Students need higher level of understanding and theory before they can learn. They need to learn about the practicalities. Firstly, we would like to clarify that we are focusing on the practicality on the college lectures, not all type of lectures. So students can freely search theories, learn through the internet, learn through various websites, and they blatantly say that only the university can teach theories. I think we didn't believe that, because in this day of age right now, in the age of internet, basically education can be accessed freely from anywhere, from the internet. Even top universities post their lectures on YouTube freely. You can access it right now, like Harvard University. We would like to say that we are on the age of advancement of information, where people can learn by many platforms such as books, ebooks, online lecture, and websites. The platform of education is really diverse and accessible right now. And I think it is wrong to say that higher level of it is wrong to say that only in university people can learn about theories. Even if the university, there are advantages in learning in university about theory, but in the status quo right now, the focusing on the theory didn't really meet the requirements of this age of industry, where every industry in this status quo right now, in these years, are focusing on the development and the practitioner in the real world, and graduates need to further understanding of the practicalities. Before I move into my arguments, is there any POI? Okay, I would like to move into my first arguments. STEM majors will increase and make faster development for their country after they graduate if we applicate focusing more on practicality on education. Add the long-term impact, focusing more on practicality rather than theoretical learning development. Development would be much more effective and faster. Why is that? STEM major with the status quo right now, where STEM majors are still focusing on the theory. After they graduate, they are clueless for 3 to 4 years and would need to learn all the practitioner on their job. We believe that it is a waste of time and not efficient. They should have been ready to applicate their job after they graduate from their college, but instead they waste another 3 to 4 years to learn the practitioner on the job field. If we focus more on the practicality, then we are going to really increase the efficiency and really increase the efficiency and the effectivity of the development through this STEM major graduates, if they already understand what they are facing after they graduate on the job field. The value, my extension is that the value of education is to teach and make students understand something new. Even if we sacrifice the focus of theoretical, the learning process and the value of education would not decrease and even increase. The traditional way of learning, where students are dictated and told blatantly about a theory without a well understanding about the practicality of it, would really kill the motivation and mental of the students if we try to dig it further. And furthermore, why is it justifiable and more beneficial in efficiency? The majority of STEM majors are after graduating did not become scientists, ladies and gentlemen. According to UN Science Report, only 0.1% from world populations are becoming scientists. Small percent are benefited from theoretical focusment on the status quo right now, and that's why the world right now are moving into the problem-based, bit by bit, moving into the practitionality education. That by focusing on practicality, the majority of STEM major students would be beneficial for the majority, even if the ones that are going to be scientists are at a disadvantage. But but we are on the age of investment of internet, where theoretical material can be accessed and learned easily with the many education websites and media right now. And they can focus on the practicality on the lecture class, ladies and gentlemen. They can learn the theory of through the internet, through online lectures, and they can learn the practitioner on the lecture class from the university. Eventually, everyone will be adapted, because at the status quo right now, we are moving to that direction, ladies and gentlemen, with the existence of problem-based learning. This is why we believe that we should focus more on the practicality rather than theoretical, because it will be more beneficial to the majority. My second argument is that there are two stakeholders on this motion. By exclusively applying focus on the practicality, they would be beneficiated by it, and college environment would be more healthy environment. First stakeholders is the students itself. STEM majors student after graduation would have an understanding about application on the real world, and approximately they would have shorter time to adapting to real world. Therefore, development will be more effective and efficient. The students can right away contribute to the society and not make them feel more underlearned after 4 years of college, but after college, and only use 15 to 20% of the material they are going to use on the real world. It will increase the motivation of the students and would not kill their motivation and further decrease their mental health and makes college a more stressful environment. And the second stakeholder is the lecturer. With the advancement of the information, the technology, with advancement of technology, lecturers can save a lot of time from lectures, and lectures would be more effective because the students can effectively learn on the home, through the internet about the theories, and they can effectively learn the practicality on the university lab, where they can ask questions freely, where they can learn many things about the practitioner, where they cannot learn it from the internet, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we believe practitioner would be more beneficial for the majority on this world right now. That's why we propose.
Now take notes that the second speaker from the government team, time 7 minutes and 31 seconds. Again, I'm reminding to all the contingents that before you start your speech, you may please state what form of POS is going to be used. So let's continue to the second speaker from the opposition team, Ms. Bianca. You may start at your own pace.
All right. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Cool. All right. So my POI preference is through chat. Please, if you could through raise hand or voice, I would not answer you. My pronouns are she, her. I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panelists, ladies and gentlemen, in the wise words of my statistics professor, technology shouldn't be used as your base, but it should be used as your tool to move forward. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the government seems to have misunderstood the premise of our motion, and they have yet to define what are the interests of STEM majors. Right? The first government have tried to convince you that by following this motion, that we are going to gain the skills that are useful to our careers and future in the world of STEM. Well, let me tell you that this point is inexclusive to their side, and we're going to explain more in our motion later. But we actually have an even better result. Right? That also blurred the lines between practicals and case studies. Right? Case studies are what you get in lectures. Right? They are an example. Practicals are what you've said, are in labs, right? Here, what the government here have misunderstood is that the examples are supposed to help us imagine, and practice is supposed to help us apply, right? The second government have tried to convince you that by focusing on practicals, we are going to improve our understanding of the world as well. But the government here have misunderstood how the mechanism actually work, right? By focusing on practicals, you are relearning by what is already established and not how to live off and build off of that will advance us to a better STEM future. They've also tried to give you the example of PBL and how that proves we can get theory from anywhere. Well, let me ask you, how much are you actually going to learn from looking at the internet? What are professors for? They're supposed to help you understand the theory, right? They've also tried to, the first government also tried to tell you about post-university and how you need lots of practical knowledge. Well, how much are you actually going to understand by only learning how things work? Skills, right, don't mean anything without understanding, because you won't spot mistakes in your logic and you won't build off of what you're supposed to do. The second speaker of the government have also tried to review about our point and higher level understanding, and how by focusing on practicality on college lectures, you can gain more things. But then again, how much are you going to understand from the internet, right? Your side of the house is blurring what is used as an example versus what we're actually learning in practicals, which is skills that are more specific to different situations. You have also tried to give us that but you're going to get faster development and effective and faster. But we argue that this is absolutely wrong. Your side of the house focuses on what is in the short term, but what about in the long term? What about when the technology is obsolete? When there's development, your side of the house is going to have students lagging behind because they don't understand what it is they're doing and why is it that they're doing it. Now, you've also tried to tell us about the value of education, while we argue that this is irrelevant for you have no link on how this connects to our motion so far. And you have also tried to give us that only a small percentage of scientists are benefit from theory, right? But then again, who's developing the scientists? Is it the scientists or is it the employees? So you have the government side of the house have forgotten that STEM mathematics, the very essence of mathematics, is a higher level thinking and abstraction. It is a higher level of analogy and how the world plays. That is what we have yet to consider. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our first speaker has given you 2 points. First of all, is that as a STEM major, we need to be able to get a higher level of abstraction to provide us that is provided by learning about theory. Like abstraction here, higher level thinking, it is the basis of logic and understanding. We need to learn about why something happens, how is it, the mechanism, and then the explanations, right? STEM situations is very broad. So if you go to STEM, right now we're learning, let's say for me, chemical engineering, but later I can be in medicine, I can be in industries, and nothing is going to be the same, right? The likelihood of all the lectures that focuses on practicals to cover everything, very unrealistic. You have also, for example, right? If we are learning about distillation in my course is covered in 3 different lectures. If I'm just to learn about what is distillation and how I can apply it, I won't understand how to improve off of it. Sorry. Now, your side of the house is providing us how to be employees, but we don't want to just be employees. We want to be thinkers, pioneers, and innovators. I'm so sorry. Right? Our side of the house, we make impact by making improvements that make sense, that is based on what we know. We are advancing STEM and its applications, and we are making connections to better our STEM world. No, thank you. I'm sorry. Our second point is that by theory learning provides us the logic of how it's supposed to play out, and we can then spot abnormalities that are exclusively given by knowledge from learning theories and universities. Now here we are STEM majors, right? We are uni students. Then how does the world play out for uni students? We have university in the beginning years where we learn about theory from professors. And then from there, we have actually things that are meant to be practical based. We have internships, we have labs, right? And then we also have our careers in the real world. That's where we're going to get our practical knowledge. In the university lecture side, we have the opportunity to interact with professors, the ones who have wisdom, the ones who have knowledge about what has been going on in their field, right? This is the kind of thing that we need to absorb from the experts, right? Practicality only gives us an immediate knowledge. But what about the long term, right? I learned about how distillation works and how this math works in this code. But then what if there's an innovation? What then? I won't be able to learn about how this code will play out in this other specific in this other thing, because I don't have that abstraction level, right? We don't understand the logic behind what we're doing and why we're doing it. Let's talk comparatives. In their side of the house, they sure are preparing for careers and the industries, which is not bad, right? But it's only good for us if we want to be employees. What is this? Is that all that we amount to as STEM students, as employees, as people who work in factories, people who work in construction? No, we can go for so much more than that, right? Your side of the house does not support or does not cater for what do students need in order for them to have the mindset to innovate, the mindset to build off of things that we already know. In our side of the house, on the other hand, right? Not only do we also get the advantages of understanding how it is that our world works, but we also get the proposition side of the house in which we want to be able to to have practical knowledge that will apply for our careers, right? But we focus on understanding that is more continuous than practical knowledge. We want to learn how and why, the foundation for innovation and advancement. Ladies and gentlemen, our side also have internships, our side also have case studies. But in our side of the house, we have an advancement in science that you would not gain from just being mere followers and employees. For that, if you believe in those reasons, you'll be very proud to those. Thank you.
And I'll take notes that the second speaker from the opposition team spent 6 minutes and 59 seconds. Then I call upon the third speaker from the government team, Ms. Janetta. You may start your speech at your own pace.
Okay, so before I start, my preferred POI would be through Zoom raise hand or on mic. If you go through chat, it may be possible that I cannot see your chat. So yeah, and I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So the opposition team has been talking about employees and leaders, but employees and leaders are not in the scope of our debate. What we want to know is should STEM major exclusively focus the lectures on practical or theoretical base? Because at the end of the day, people and they keep talking about how not everyone wants to be employees, but you have to realize that only 0.1% of people actually wants to not become employees, or as you can say, leaders. And you seem to have brushed off the fact that leaders also need to know about those practical needs. They have to learn practical. And the second speaker of the opposition team has been talking about how this theoretical thing will give you higher level of abstraction, but they don't seem to have stated that how that higher level of abstraction would not be gained through practical means. Because how can you say that you won't be able to have that level of abstraction when if you do it practically, if you do things more practically, it shows that there will be more problems, because that's just how real life works. There are way more problems than you thinking in theoretical means, because at the end of the day, theoretical means is only level of thinking. You don't even know if that works or not, because there are still means to make sure that theoretical thinking actually exists. If you want to see the examples, there are such examples in all kinds of STEM majors about yield, because there will always be that yield percentage, the percentage that is wrong, that we gained through practical means. Therefore, all that we have been learning are all through practical means. And if you want to learn more and to understand more about STEM majors, you have to first understand why those problems exist in the first place, which is why you need to learn more about practical means. And first, I will bring out my class, which is how far does the lecturer's responsibilities goes, because that is what we should be debating on. And the opposition team should bring out about why lectures in university is only at the scope at theory, because practical skills can be gained through jobs. First of all, if you say that practical means can be learned through jobs, you have to realize jobs are not places where you learn. Jobs are places where people hire you to do things that benefit themselves, because that's, at the end of the day, people want to be the person that benefits more. And if you want to say that, oh, you can just learn it at your internship or job, you have to realize STEM is a very competitive place. People in STEM are very competitive, and there are so much STEM people right now. And if you say such things like that, we can learn it in jobs, but how many people are learning it before you? Do you think that people with higher level in jobs would take the time to teach you and help you gain this practical experience when they have other people who can already know about practical experience? Because that is very naive to think that, oh, but you can just learn it through internship. Like, how many percentage do you think that people in the higher level of jobs would actually teach you step by step about how things work in practical means? Yes, please.
Yes, I just want to POI and say that when what we meant by they learn from their job, it doesn't mean that they learn directly from their employer, but instead they learn by doing, by practicing it day by day. Thank you.
Okay, like, yeah, if they practice it, how can you practice day by day without even learning it from lecturers first? Because people in jobs won't let you have that day to practice, just to make sure you learn from your experience. People want people with experience, especially in STEM. That's how STEM works. They thrive of experience, which is why you can see like all those jobs. They are like, oh, how many years of experience do you have? How many years of experience? Because people won't. STEM is a very dangerous place. You can't just expect people to experiment and do the wrong things at work where they're higher level of risk. Because if you are in a controlled environment in a lab with lecturers and such things, it can actually help people, because lecturers can help you see where you should see your problems and how to correct them. And I would like to also rebut how there are needs to learn about theories before practical. Yes, there is. Yes, you should learn about theories in practical, but why should that be inside of university lectures? Why should it not be you learning by yourself? Because that is how university are like now, which is PBL, which you guys have been brushing off this entire time. We search for our own resources. There are journals, hundreds and hundreds of journals. And we are not saying that you can't ask about the lectures about what you don't understand, but we are talking about how we should exclusively prioritize practical means as opposed to theoretical, because you can learn by yourself, you can ask the lecturers by yourself, but why should that lecture caters to your own, to that specific theoretical only? Because that is what is shown right now, which is that our university itself, practice are only 2 SKS per year at most. And why is it like that? Why can't we bring more practicum rather than theory? Because that is what is needed inside of STEM. And you have, and you've also stated that some of your examples are the process of distillation. That is the problem with theories. Theories are repetitive, but if you yourself have learned about this practice, this distillation practice, that is written down. Therefore, that it is less likely for you to learn more about it and learn actually more things that are beyond distillation. Because theories, people don't think much about theories. People only like, oh, this one topic needs this many theories. Therefore, you learn it again and again repeatedly. But if you are talking about practice, they're like, this topic, what is needed in this topic, and how can you gain stuff from that topic? That is what practice is about. That is the whole point of practice. Thank you. That is all.
I'll take notes that the third speaker from the government team, and 7 minutes and 23 seconds. I call upon the third speaker from the opposition team, Mr. Raka. You may start your speech at your own pace.
Okay, my POI preference are through chat, and I prefer to hear him. And I would start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen of jury, allow us that we are not trying to focus mostly on theoretical teaching. Of course, practical teaching does have its benefits and can be beneficial for students. But of course, it's from the theories that it can involve new inventions. Great leaders of our past started from understanding the theory. Before Einstein made a theory of relativity, he must understand the theory beforehand, what is already relevant before, and and then he understands the theory and then elaborate it to himself and then evolve it to making what is the theory of relativity that we know now. A lot of great minds of back then did that by understanding the concept of the theory, like Thomas Edison, using the plates on the ground, and he holding his key when he is about to drift away to sleep. He dropped the key to the plate, and a sudden revelation of the theory. Then after that, of course, he put it in practical means to understand it, to actually make it as an actual proof. And of course, there are already implementations of practical learning that has shown statistic that they have increased the understanding. The student actually increased the understanding by some percentage. But of course, looking through the data even more, it's still dominated by theory. It's not entirely by theory, but the students are still given a chance to case build on their own, do practical means, and understand it even further. And that is what we're trying to say, is that of course that it is crucial for the students to understand the theories, because if we don't have the theory, how can it be practical? And of course, said by my colleague before, there is a difference between case study and practical theory. The case building can be it's mostly on the theory side. Sorry, not on the theory side. It's mostly just a relearning of what we have been told, but it's not really trying to evolve the way we think it, and by learning it, we can evolve what we have built on the case study then into something even better. And of course, there's been mentioned that the jobs aren't learning experience. No, thank you. Our entire jobs are still learning experiences. We're not, by saying that jobs aren't learning experiences, that it implies that everything that we have to from university, that we must understand and apply it immediately to the jobs. Well, of course, that could be very, very stressful for the student, because if they're expected to understand what they're going to do in their jobs, of course, it can be highly irrational for the students. And of course, maybe there are others who's very competitive, but of course there are stepping stones. You're not expected to immediately be the first place. The students aren't really expected to be the first place once they get a job. They still have to learn their way. And scientists, of course, the scientists that have been mentioned, of course, they don't just immediately become scientists. You need to be a great mind to immediately become a scientist. And to become a scientist, you need to understand what it's like to be a scientist from experience. No, thank you. And of course, it is adaptation from university learning, that is that STEM learning is a broad concept. We learn a broad subject, and if we choose a job, it narrows it. And if the jobs gives learning experience, is that it's teaching from those who are getting taught by those who are beforehand, who has more experience, and of course, eventually you can take their place and then be an actual scientist. And there's also mentioned that using online using the internet, online books, and all stuff. But of course, like, how realistic is that? How realistic that the students will sit down and see all through the journals and understand it that way? The lecturers give an abridged version of theories, of the theories. That's why we still need theoretical lectures, because in a way we try to understand what the professor has said. They give
They give us the point by point of what an entire book is trying to say, and we listen. And and of course by case building, we don't really do. They don't really do that. By case building, they focus on themselves, on what their mind is truly thinking on its own, and not really listening on other opinions on outside help, which can deteriorate their understanding. And of course, direct learning can be helpful for the students, but of course there are limitations. An entire lecture can go up to hundreds of people, and can be really inefficient for each student to for professor to go around for each student and ask them if they're understanding it or not. The professors go up the stage telling theories, and it's up to the students to understand it themselves, to comprehend it themselves, to broad their idea. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I'll take notes that the third speaker from the opposition team spent 6 minutes and 59 seconds. Since there are no more substantive speakers left, I will call the two teams reply speakers. First, we have the reply speakers from the opposition team. Ms. Bianca, you may restart your own speech at your own pace.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, in that case, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panels, ladies and gentlemen, what have we debated today, right? In our debate today, we have viciously argued over whether our houses as STEM majors should exclusively focus lectures and practicalities as opposed to theoretical-based lectures, right? We have gone through two main clashes. So first of all is which side is actually more beneficial for STEM majors, and second, whether each side will be more each side's benefits will be more exclusive, and how this would actually benefit us, right? So their side of the house have tried to convince you that first, like you're going to get skills that's useful to your careers because it's like very competitive in STEM. In which our side of the house have rebutted by not only are they blurring practice and examples and how that their mechanism is also relearning and not covering all the possible situations in sciences that STEM majors would face, right? And we've also given you that their skills are not exclusive to their side. Now, second, they've also tried to convince you that you can learn theory from anywhere, in which our side of the house have rebutted by saying that university is the place to get the understanding, right? And the skills can also be learned from things from beyond uni. And then the third, and then they also have tried to convince you with a third point that they're going to get a faster development, in which we have rebutted by saying that not only this is an exclusive to their side, this is a very short-term analysis, and that our side of the house have not only a bigger development, but also gets a continuous long-term development that is more beneficial to STEM in our world. Now let's compare that to what we have brought into our house. In our side of the house, we have first given you that by getting theory knowledge, we are getting a higher level of understanding that allows us to have more applications that's more beneficial for our careers in STEM. It allows us to understand why, how, and the mechanisms of what that we can build off of so that we can innovate based on what we know and improve STEM to a more advanced level. We have also given you that second, that the valuable theory that is exclusive to that will help us in STEM is exclusive to lectures in university. That we learn skills that we can learn skills from things that are beyond university, like internships and careers where we build our knowledge, right? And then our third point is also giving it that it allows us to build a foundation for innovation from science and STEM, in which the proposition side have not interacted with. Lastly, I've also given you a comparative. What does our side look like and how their side looks like. Our side not only gets the skills, but also more understanding that we can build off of for a better STEM world. We get thinkers, we have pioneers, we have a continuous knowledge that is applicable as STEM evolves, in which the proposition have not yet to address and how this will play out in their world. Now let's compare how this debate has gone so far, right? The proposition not only have they not defined the interest or not clearly defined the interest of STEM majors, but they have also failed to give clear links for some of their arguments, making them irrelevant. They have also not addressed our development point, and they have also failed to show how their benefits are exclusive to their house. And that lastly, they have also failed to show how their skills are exclusive to their side, in which we have addressed by saying it's not, right? Compared to that, what of our side? Our side not only have considered the short term, but also the long term of how our mechanism is going to affect not only students, but also the STEM world. We have also rebutted all their arguments and have given you a continuous mechanism that stands beyond even that stands even longer and beyond what the proposition have built. We have also given you comparatives. Not only that we get more benefits, we also giving you how our world plays for STEM students, majors, and professionals. And if you stand by these points that we have brought in our side of the opposition, we will proudly oppose. Thank you.
All take notes that the reply speaker from the opposition team spent 3 minutes and 59 seconds. So I call upon the reply speaker from the government team. Mr. Hasi, you may start your speech at your own pace.
Okay, let me start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, standing here together as the reply speaker for the government side of the house. First, what characterizes today's debate, ladies and gentlemen? First, ladies and gentlemen, the opposition side of the house is over idealizing about the depiction of lectures where it can solve literally everything, ladies and gentlemen, either on the future of the STEM major students and so on, and they're talking about long term and such, ladies and gentlemen. But meanwhile, in the government side of the house, we give you a more contextual world, ladies and gentlemen, where we have characterized every possible characterization that we have given you from STEM majors to the stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen, how they contribute on the motion and how the motion can benefit them to each one of them, ladies and gentlemen. And second, ladies and gentlemen, we feel from the government side of the house, we feel that the opposition keeps claiming something that they didn't brought in the first place, ladies and gentlemen. We believe that everything that they have stated in the reply speaker recently, ladies and gentlemen, it cannot be counted as one. It cannot be counted to the points for them, ladies and gentlemen. We see that they keep claiming about how they talk about on the long term, ladies and gentlemen, and such. But meanwhile, in government side, we feel that the opposition side of the house keeps bringing on keeps denying all problems and keeps talking about their new problems. We didn't see that how this could get them a point for this winning, ladies and gentlemen. And the opposition side of the house, we feel that also fails to interact and fail to clash with our arguments, ladies and gentlemen, and in which we believe that in the government side we have done everything to make this debate on the right way, ladies and gentlemen. That's why for whole the point, we believe that the government side of the house should win, ladies and gentlemen. Now for the clashes, ladies and gentlemen, I found 2 clashes in today's debate, ladies and gentlemen. First is about the urgency, ladies and gentlemen. Now, in this urgency, we're talking about the needs for each of stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen. The opposition side of the house keeps claiming that on how this theoretical can be an abstraction for their future, ladies and gentlemen. They can train them to be employees and leaders, ladies and gentlemen, but they didn't elaborate more on how this theoretical based learning, ladies and gentlemen, can help them to become a better leader than the practical skills, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, in the government side, we have talked to you on how this practical skills is going to put us STEM major students in a long term, which not only in a university but also in our post university, which we applicate our skills, ladies and gentlemen, into the companies. We have also stated about how this company really needed our skills and so on, ladies and gentlemen. We believe that we have characterized to you enough why our long term is better, ladies and gentlemen, rather than them. They didn't elaborate more on this, ladies and gentlemen. And second, ladies and gentlemen, regarding the outcome from our both side of the house, ladies and gentlemen. First, the opposition side of the house keeps claiming that how their best case would be that the STEM major and the STEM major itself would be developed and advanced in the future days, ladies and gentlemen. But we see that in this, but the government already have stated that this debate should not only talk about in the scope of STEM major, ladies and gentlemen. We have brought to you how the STEM major in doing practical skills can bring them into a better future in post-university life, ladies and gentlemen. We are not talking about the STEM major itself, but the government of the house also brings the impact towards the student individual itself, ladies and gentlemen. That is why we believe that the best scenario outcome from the operation of the house is not exclusive only on the ladies and gentlemen. It can also happen to us, and it will happen to us, ladies and gentlemen. As we have said, our arguments that is brought from our first and second speaker, ladies and gentlemen. And the opposition side, worst case, would be they only know how to think, ladies and gentlemen. They cannot apply. Meanwhile, we see that in STEM major science, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, everything needs to be applied in order not only to develop, we say that not only to develop the STEM major itself, ladies and gentlemen, but also to develop our society. As my first speaker have said, the STEM major outcome is always for the society, ladies and gentlemen. We have talked to you about that, ladies and gentlemen, and that's why in today's debate, ladies and gentlemen, the third place of OIM should goes to DTK. Thank you.
I'll take notes that the reply speaker from the government team spent 4 minutes and 22 seconds. And that concludes our tonight debates. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Again and again, we saw some very great actions and rebuttals from both of the teams in this second chamber. Both teams clearly wants to win the third position from the PI and DTK. And since tonight's debate session is a silent round, the debaters may proceed to the debaters hall or the main room for another breaking announcement. For another announcement. And my name is Muhammad Ihsan Pasha. That's all for me tonight. Thank you very much for coming. I'll see you guys in the announcement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Peggy. It's a nice debate.
Thank you, adjudicator.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Bichan.